Slept in, cause I don't care, and didn't make the bed. Sip coffee on my couch, what can I do instead? No work, it's only fun, cause it's all okay. Cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. My lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot, or to be told. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot, or to be told. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot, or to be told. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. If I had 1,000 tongues, I would sing with everyone. Voices like a mountain song. Sing, you are my only one. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth Morosco with Kudos magazine. If you have felt like you've been stuck in a bind and not able to get to the places that you need, either because maybe you can't drive or you just don't have the resources to get there, or let's say that you are a caregiver and you feel guilty because you can't get your mom or your grandma maybe over to the drugstore, the grocery store, or to a doctor's appointment because maybe you're tied up at work. Maybe you've got 50 million things to do and you can't do it all. Well, guess what? We have resources right in our community that can help you. And today, we're with a really special guest. I'm so excited she's here. Stephanie K from
Hey, hi.
MTA.
Can't forget that because it rhymes.
It does. It does. But it is so wonderful to have you here, Stephanie. She has always
Aw.
been proactive with community, and now you're bringing that to the forefront with transportation. And I'm super excited that you're here, and I'm hoping that you could share with our viewers a little bit of insight on public transportation that's available to the
Well, yeah.
community because
Well,
you guys have
sure.
stuff I didn't even know about.
I know. I know. It's amazing. Well, thank you, first of all, Liz. I appreciate you. I think you're beautiful inside and out. You're just a wonderful
Ditto.
person. And so I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, we both
thank
want to
you.
help the people, especially the veterans. That's my heart. The men and the women who have fought for our country to give us the freedoms we have
Yes.
today. And so I don't think Veterans Day is enough to honor these people. And MTA has arranged to have 6 free rides a month for veterans and their spouses, even their widows, to make sure they get to the grocery store or to the doctor. They'll even take them to the veterans hospital and wait with them. And on the way home, they'll stop at the grocery store and to the pharmacy to make sure they get back home with everything they need. So
That's
please take advantage of that.
incredible. That's
I know. It
incredible. And
makes
you
me
know
so
what?
happy.
I think that that whole idea of being able to have someone that will take you in logical form, like I've got to go get my medicine after I went to the doctor's, it is it's one of these steps that can end up driving families loopy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I did not know that you guys had a program that was for veterans. That's incredible.
It's called Rise to Wellness for the veterans. So Vets to Wellness. You can
Vets to
call Vets to
wellness.
Well. Yep, and they will make sure as long as the veteran is registered with the VA
Yeah.
downtown. It's very easy to do within 5 minutes. All they need is their driver's license, show it's them, and their DD 214, which is their honorable discharge papers. And they are registered. That's all I need to do. And then MTA will be able to give them 6 free rides each month. And they're widows. that they're widows, I think health and wellness. So we make sure that they have their groceries and that they get the doctor's appointments and the pharmacy, what they might need. And anybody gets a free ride on Sundays right now. As long as we can afford it, we're going to do this. So anybody can get a ride to Sundays, go to church, which is very important, see their loved ones,
Nice.
go to the grocery store, and just make sure you call on Friday before that Sunday to make sure you have a ride.
Yeah, so
So,
how does this work? Because is this set up like not it's not set up like the traditional bus routes that MTA
it's a
has. How does
car.
this work?
Your ride is a car, so is Rides to Wellness. They will come right to your home and they'll pick you up and they'll take you to where you need to be. So it's not that you have to wait at the bus station. The bus routes are free on Sundays as well right now, as long as we can continue to afford this, probably at least till the end of maybe September. Um, the Rides to Wellness, they have cars, they have SUVs, they have minibuses, whatever you might need. If you need a wheelchair, they're going to bring a bigger vehicle to pick you up with the wheelchair. Rides to Wellness will pick you up right at your doorstep. They'll come up to your front door, help you with your zipper on your coat, put you in the car. They're going to make sure that you're in good hands. And it's just so rewarding. When my father was diagnosed with cancer a while back, I was doing the morning radio show. And I knew that I could not leave dead air to go take him to the chemo or the radiation, whatever he had to have at the time. And that's when I learned that your ride would pick him up for $2.25 at his door and take him to his radiation appointment. I was so relieved and so grateful and so just really impressed that they had done this. And that's when I said, if I ever lose my job, I want to work for you. Well, be careful what you wish for because I'm now working for MTA, but I love it. They treat me well and they really care about the community. They do so much for everybody. So if you ever need a ride, don't be without. Make sure you
Yeah,
call MTA.
absolutely. And you hit on something that is such a simple part of our life. And this is one of these things that can spin caregivers into a state of depression because they may know that their loved one has to go to chemo or radiation or dialysis or physical therapy.
Sure.
And there's many times where to keep things going as caregivers, we still have to work. And like in your case, when you're on radio, you had that set time of
Yeah.
when you had that on air personality. It wasn't like you can say, oh, you know what? I'll come in and I'll do that at 5 p.m. Where
Right.
some people have some of that flexibility. You weren't in that situation.
None.
And having access to that, it allowed you to have that peace of mind to go to work, keep providing for your family, but to know that your dad was in good hands. And I actually have a story about an MTA driver that I remember. It wasn't personally for me, but it was a story I had heard about an MTA driver that drove this one lady every week, the same week, and then something had happened and she didn't come out of her apartment. So he
Uh-oh.
knew something was wrong. Something stirred up in him. And long story short, since he listened to that gut instinct, thank God, they had found that she had collapsed into a diabetic coma. And
Oh no.
through grace of God, he was there, was familiar with, for like over a year, she had been going whatever the day was at the same time. And then this time she didn't show up. So he knew something's wrong. And I think that when we have these different connections with our community to know, number one, we can have access to independence and freedom, but we also have like this extra set of eyes that are kind of, looking at what's going on. Are my people okay in the community? That's how
Right.
we can really get to this place of, I think, healthy, happy living because healing and wellness doesn't just have to do with like the doctor's appointments and medicines
Right.
and diagnoses. It's about those loving hands that kind of come in and embrace us. And I think MTA it's one of these organizations that a lot of people don't know is available to help along the way. And that's one of the real reasons why, well, number one, I love you, Stephanie. So I
Aw,
wanted
love
you
you
to come
too.
on.
Thank
But
you.
that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on here is, to remind people, hey, it's okay for your loved one to catch another ride. These are people that, are gentle and caring with your loved ones. And it's okay for them to take another ride and for you to go to work. It's okay. You don't have to do it alone. So,
And it's safe. They made sure they put plastic in between the front and the back seats. They make sure everybody has a mask. They take your
oh,
temperature. So, and
oh,
they,
do they
through
good?
COVID, a lot of
Yeah.
other big public transportation companies just shut right down. They just said, nope, we can't do it. Not MTA and Flint. They stepped up to the plate. They actually did a very expensive process where they put the air filtration system in the buses, and they also put a quantum system in the buses. And that is where, if you're in a wheelchair in the days past, you would have to, this bus driver, stop the bus, get out, help the person in the wheelchair. You're right by each other trying to get the belts buckled. And it was a not as secure as it could be. And now with the, it's called a quantum system. The person in the wheelchair does not have to have help. When they get on, they feel autonomy. They can do this on their own. It gives them some securement. It gives them some, just their own self-esteem. They can come on by themselves, put their wheelchair in place and push a button, and within 30 seconds, they're locked in place. The bus driver doesn't have to stop, taking more time for the passengers to get to where they have to go. And that person in the wheelchair feels so much safer and so much more secure. And it's just been a wonderful blessing for everybody all the way around. They did all that during COVID, and they put the plastic in between the front and the back seats, like I said, and they kept the drivers going to put one person in a car instead of two. They want to make sure that people were safe and not all by each other. So they went over and beyond to make sure that people were safe. And they've not missed a beat. They've been taking people the entire time. They were still delivering food and water to people's homes. They were taking them to the grocery store. They were taking them to the doctor's offices and to the bank where they needed to go. And it was free all throughout COVID because they knew that people couldn't afford it. They didn't want anybody to have an excuse not to get to the doctor.
Yeah,
So,
that's incredible.
well,
And, I think that on top of that, being transportation, one of the other things that it is its connection with humanity. So during
yes,
COVID, there was a lot of depression, and I think a lot, not think, I know, because I've
yeah,
spoke to many people, a lot of people that had passed away during that time, and in part because of loneliness. Loneliness kills.
it
And
does.
with that resource of MTA, being able to connect with people, get them, out of the house, get their supplies and feel like they're connected with the world, I believe became a lifeline for many, many people to make it through one of the most incredibly difficult times. And I just think that these are things that have so much value to our community. And as people start, having loved ones that maybe need more help, we need to kind of encourage, hey, try these things. It's not abandoning your loved one. You're actually encouraging your loved one to have independence. And that idea that
Yeah.
you were saying about the handicap ramp, Stephanie, that
Mhm.
is so cool
I
because it kind
know.
of gives that sense of independence too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we
Hmm.
spoke to Charlene Gazette. She's the one that uses it. And she just said it's just changed the world for her because it just makes her feel
Just,
secure. And she said
yeah,
before she would get looks from people like, oh, here comes a wheelchair. We got to wait for you now. And now they don't get those looks because they're able to just continue on their way without having to wait and have the bus driver help them. So she
yeah,
felt better about it. And I've
that's
had so many
cool.
people call us to say, your drivers were so kind and they're so
Oh,
thoughtful. We
yeah.
have one little girl, Ashley Seymour. She is totally blind. She was born blind, and she said it's okay to say blind. The correct would be to say, visually impaired. She said, no, I'm totally blind. It's okay to say. And she used MTA to get to her therapy, to get to her volunteering, to get to everywhere she had to go. And now we've hired her. She's working at
That's
MTA.
incredible.
Yes. And she's working and doing surveys and doing computer things where we had to buy a special program for her so it could talk to her. But we invested in that so she could have a job. And now she's fully employed with MTA and she's loving it. And she's
Oh
doing a
my
great job.
gosh, that's wonderful. All that whole
Isn't it?
story's wonderful. Yeah,
It
she
gives me
sounds
goosebumps
great.
sometimes. I know, I love
It
it.
does. And going back to what you were saying, and she was volunteering before that. And
Yeah.
I think this is one of the key things with all of us, to get to this place of healthy, happy living. When we're giving back to our community and we're doing things, it's how we sort of revive ourselves. But when some people don't have transportation, whether it's because they're visually impaired or have a physical disability or just don't have a car, they're not able to drive anymore, but maybe they are of total sound mind. Having this creates, it's literally a lifeline.
It
And
is. Imagine not having a car if you just want to go someplace and didn't have a vehicle, didn't have
it
transportation.
happens. My mom recently had knee surgery, and
Oh,
actually it
sorry.
was her second one that she just had, and she's finally starting to get a little bit better and get back get back on her
Good.
feet again.
Good.
But one of the things that was a struggle a couple of times was some transportation where she needed to go to the doctor's appointment. And then you have to remember, I own a business. And then I have two boys that I'm catering around. And I got her to every appointment. We had to make a couple of adjustments, but a couple times it was like that two-step thing of I didn't know how I was going to do it because I was just one person. And maybe, just maybe, this could have been a cool way to and I'm going to tell you what, she's of sound mind. And when she wants
Good.
to go, like she wants to go. So there's sometimes my schedule was holding her back. So
Sure.
it's not just that they may be like slowing down. Sometimes the person that's providing a little bit of assistance might not be able to give people what they want. And this gives that sense of independence and freedom so you can kind of come and go as you want. So I need to get hooked
Absolutely.
up with you guys too for future reference. So speaking
Sure.
of which, let's say that somebody says, yes, my mom, my dad, my grandma, grandpa, my neighbor, me, I want to get hooked into this program. How do you go about it? How does this
It's
work?
so easy. It's just a phone call. You just call and tell them you need a ride, and they can get you there. It's just that easy. I know. It's no, you don't have to run through hoops at all. As a matter of fact, I wanted to mention we are MTA Flint is the #1 medical transportation provider by a public agency in the country today.
No
They have
kidding.
called Ed Benning, our CEO from Washington, to say, "What is your trick there? What are you doing? How are you able to do this? How to create all these rides to the medical needs?" And uh, he's amazing, and he's made it happen. And that's through Your Ride. And if they wanted to actually call to get a ride, Your Ride, that number is 767. Of course, it's
Seven six seven. Oh, it's 810 810.
810 767
Uh-huh.
5541 5541.
Okay.
And they can now everything's on our website. Everything, all the fares, all the phone numbers, the podcast that we do every week is at the very bottom. You can just click on that little icon. And our website is mtaflint.org. That's where you live, mtaflint.org. And they just do so much. And they're hiring right now. Every Wednesday, we have a virtual recruiting phone number. You can call, just listen, or ask questions to a real person to find out what jobs are available, what would it take for me to do it, how much would it pay, and you can have all the information before you even walk into the interview. So that's very nice to have. And that's on our website as well, mtaflint.org. It'll have the phone number and the PIN to call every Wednesday at 2 o'clock and to
Love
hear more
that.
about a job for you.
All right.
Yeah,
So I
fine.
threw that up on the screen really quick. 810-767-5541,
4-1. Mhm.
mtaflint.org, right?
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely. And also I was gonna say, it's not just for rides around town. A lot of times, this is amazing to me. Great Lakes Crossing, you've been shopping there, right? At the
Yeah.
mall?
Yeah.
That almost didn't happen. They built this beautiful mall and they could not find anybody to work. And so they said, we're going to have to just close it. And Ed went through there and talked to some of the people around the area there, the managers. And he said, you know what? We have buses. Let's see if we can't transport them regionally out here to get workers to you. People in Flint and Genesee County need work and you
Yeah.
need workers. Let's make this work.
That's
So
incredible. You
within
guys
two
are
weeks, he
like
has, yep. And so
shifting
now
it.
I know. 10,000 people a week are working through the bus
Oh my
station from the MTA,
goodness.
taking them to Livingston County. They had a great big manufacturers plant, and they couldn't find workers. They couldn't find managers. They couldn't find anybody to do any of the jobs. Once again, the MTA bus will take them to Livingston County, takes them to Great Lakes Crossing. There's many places that they go. Like I said, 10,000 workers a day are using these buses to get to work. And people were mad at first saying, you're taking jobs out of our area. And he's like, not at all. They couldn't find work here. So they needed workers there. We made it work. And it brings back $180 million a year back to Genesee County by giving people jobs to feed
Amazing.
their families. So there's so
Amazing.
much more that MTA does. People just don't even realize. So when you
Mhm.
see it in the millage out there, you'll know that I might want to vote yes for that to keep it going, because every single day, 10,000 people are turning 65 years old. And that's going to happen every day for 17 to 20 years.
I
So
did not know
as a
that.
65-year-old, you're going to find yourself maybe with some medical needs or with some disabilities. People are living longer in place and they need this transportation. So we're going to be there for you. And with Rides to Wellness, they'll be to your house in 30 minutes. Your ride, you need to give them a day in advance at least. Rise to Wellness, if you wake up and think, you know what, I think I need to see the doctor today. I better call right now and get in. Within 30 minutes, they'll be to your house to take you. That's like on demand. That's like
It
a
is
Uber. That
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
And if you ever come back from vacation and you're at the airport and you think, oh my gosh, my ride isn't here. How do I get home? I can't find anybody to take me home. It is $15. You can give them a call and they'll take you anywhere in Genesee County for just $15. One gentleman had to call a taxi. It took him 45 minutes to even get the taxi to him, and it cost him $85 to get to Ohio.
Ouch.
So
Ouch.
it's a
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is a
just to
good
use
deal.
instead of another ride, but for emergencies. If you're ever stuck, never get stranded again. We have somebody at the airport within 30 minutes to take you home.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love
I know, me
that.
too.
Yeah, I know. I know. I didn't realize that you guys had all of these different programs, like the one for veterans and things like that. But one program that I know that I've bragged about for quite a bit about MTA that I absolutely love is when you guys started doing these drop offs at the farmers market and getting people to those grocery stores. Now, for some of our viewers, you may not know, in a lot of urban communities, there's a lack of grocery stores, and getting
Hmm.
fresh food and produce into some of these homes can become very challenging. So, several years ago, MTA took an initiative to start including a direct route right to the farmers market so people can have access to that. These are basic needs that all families, regardless of where you live, whether you're in a rural area, the suburbs, or in an urban area, we should all have access to good, healthy food. And I know that was something else
Absolutely.
that MTA has been instrumental in making sure was happening.
Called
So,
rides to groceries. So don't go without, because if you think
mhm,
about it, Meyer over on Pearson Road just shut down. A lot of the Kroger's shut down.
yeah.
I mean, so people, it's called a food desert. A lot of these people, seniors and everyone, they were eating out of vending machines. They were going to the
Yes.
local, maybe gas stations, and they're eating donuts for their
Hmm.
meals and their
Hmm.
candy bars. And
Hmm.
they need fresh fruits and vegetables to stay healthy. So
Hmm.
rides to wellness, rides to groceries will take them to the grocery store, even the Flint Farmers Market, like you had said. And once you're down there, there's a trolley downtown that will take you all throughout Flint for free. The trolleys are
Hmm.
totally free downtown
Hmm.
Flint. So take
Hmm.
advantage of that and
And
ride
you
around
guys
if you'd like.
drop off right at farmers market. Like they don't have to take the trolley if they don't want, right?
Oh, no, no, no. The trolley's just there if they want to ride around someplace else around Flint. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
nice.
So it's easy breezy. Easy breezy. This is
Absolutely.
so important for people to know and to start sharing with your loved ones, about this resource being available. And part of it is the more that we start talking about it, people become familiar. And it does
Sure.
also, I think, lessen a little bit of the caregiver guilt syndrome that so many caregivers face. I've said it so many times, caregivers have such beautiful hearts that they often burn themselves out between
So true.
actively doing things and worrying about their loved ones and trying to do everything. This can be one thing, even if it's just occasionally, that you can kind of offload that burden, still allow your loved one to get on track. But hey, real quick, you guys, if you have not signed up for your free copy of Kudos Magazine, I really do want to encourage you to go sign up right now. Just go over to kudosflint.com. And then when the next issue of Caregivers or Caregiving for Caregivers comes out, we're going to send it to you absolutely free.
Wow.
And we have a free Facebook group. So go check that out. Caregiving for Caregivers. It's a great way for you to be able to get connected with information like what Stephanie's sharing today that can be helpful to you and to your loved ones. And that's how we can make this community and our families a little bit healthier and happier. So, but Stephanie, I am so grateful for everything that you're doing in the community and everything that MTA is doing. I had no idea. I really had no idea that they were doing all these other little things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when
So,
schools were closed because of COVID, these kids still needed their lunches. And so we thought, how can we get the lunches to them? So we partnered with a lot of other agencies that helped us greatly, but we took the drivers time to take those food lunches, the boxes of food, whatever they were needed, waters, we took them to individual homes and dropped them off at their front doorsteps. They had them.
that's
So that was
incredible.
wonderful. I know.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of them.
I know. Hey, you know what? It's always a good feeling when you like the company that you're working for because they're doing
So much.
good. And
Yes.
for those of you that don't know Stephanie, I can tell you she is sort of the go all in. help every charity that I possibly can. I think you got wings hiding underneath that shirt.
Oh, you're so sweet.
She
I just supposed to have
does.
adopted pet on my shirt because I just volunteered at their golf outing. Hey, golf
See,
outing,
what
what are you
did
doing
I
one?
say? What did I
Yeah.
say? What did I say?
It's talking
She's
about
got
golf
angel
outing.
wings.
Oh, you're so sweet. I'm also a volunteer for the Friends of Public Transportation. Wonderful. And
You
they
broke up.
actually help.
Say that again. You broke up.
I'm also a volunteer for the Friends of Public Transportation, and
Oh.
it's a small group, but they actually help with the millage that actually helps MTA, and that helps through the roundabout to get the veterans their free rides and to get the rides keep going out there because the millage helps MTA. But Friends of Public Transportation helps with that millage. So they're doing a golf outing on June 14th, which is a Monday at Brookwood. And we have a few more spots left for anybody who wants to sponsor or play or volunteer. It's a fun time. So I'll be there volunteering, shocker.
That's
And we'd love to
awesome.
have you. So you
Yeah,
can just call
and you
me if
know
you
what?
want.
Isn't that the best when, and that's one of the things I have to tell you. In mid Michigan, we are so lucky. We have so many proactive people in our community. But I mean, imagine you're going to go play golf, and then that golfing is going to benefit people that maybe are struggling for transportation, whether not
Right.
being able to drive themselves. And what a fun way. That's a fun razor.
Well,
Bum
Ed
bum.
Benning had once said, one day you're driving, the next day you're riding. So you want to make sure that you have the rides available for you. And you want somebody who's going to take care of you, like you said. So that's really nice. And we
Absolutely.
are the leader in transportation right now across the country. So you can be very proud of that here in Flint, Michigan, that we are the leader. We are the example, and they are following ours. So
Yay! I love it. Yeah, gonna do a little party.
I love it.
But those are things that are important to celebrate. And Mid Michigan is my favorite place, and that's why I live here.
I
So,
know.
but Stephanie,
Well, one
thank you.
last thing I want to share with you. One last
Tell
thing.
me,
And
tell me.
I don't think people realize this. The big buses when they first came out in 1971, 50 years ago. We're still at Gala, but it's going to be 50 plus one now because of COVID. We want to keep people safe. It's going to be next year. It's going to be a week-long celebration. I'll keep you posted on that. But back in 1971, all the buses had a diesel fuel. And remember the smell of the diesel fuel?
Yeah.
It was bad for the environment. Well, we've changed that all over now. We use hydrogen, propane, or compressed natural gas, all clean air. That's all clean for the economy. And instead of being $3 a gallon, we can get it as low as 29 cents a gallon
Get
because
out
of
of
I know.
here.
I
It's
know. And we share
incredible.
it with the school buses so they can use it as
Yeah,
well.
we
It's
don't see
nice.
those big puffs of black smoke coming
No,
out of it. Yeah, that diesel
no.
smell reminds me actually of France. That's what Paris smells like
Yeah,
to me is the
it does.
diesel fuel and yeah, the air. Well, just throughout Europe, I think that we're lucky in Michigan. We have pretty clean air quality,
Mhm.
but especially with you guys having that many buses rolling out, I
Yeah,
can't believe that that price point, especially with what's
I
going
know.
on with gasoline right now. Thank
I
goodness
know. Oh no. And
because
we actually
it's
have our own hydrogen plant over on Dort Highway. We make it
do
ourselves here.
get out of here. Okay.
And that gives people so many more jobs. That's what I'm saying. We're hiring mechanics right now. We're hiring managers. We're hiring drivers. And if you go to the MTA flint.org, you can find out what jobs are available under careers. You can apply right online and see if it's right for you. So hopefully we'll be working together someday.
That's fantastic. I love that. Okay, so that's over at the mtaflint.org.
MTAflint.org. All the
Okay,
information's there
cool.
for anything you might want under careers.
Gosh, I don't know if we could get any more good news in this interview. We're talking about helping seniors, fundraisers. You got jobs. You've got, I don't
Yes.
know. You got like the little
And the golf
mansion.
outing has steak dinner. That's always good too. That's number one on people's list.
There you go. Yeah, real steak dinner. That's key. That's when you know you're officially at the 19th hole, right? Got my
And the
steak
free
and my
beer.
beer. Yeah, I
That
was
always
yeah,
helps.
right, and free beer. So that's a good way to celebrate helping other people.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, thank you for bringing this out to the forefront too, because people need to know that we're there for you. MTA is there. I see MTA instead of standing for Mass Transportation Authority. I think MTA should stand for Man, that's awesome.
Well, with the stuff that you're saying, yeah, no cliche. It really should. And the thing is when people get down this road, of having this hiccup with a health crisis or a loved one that can't drive anymore, that's when you
Hmm.
start to really realize the value of some of
Oh,
these custom services. It's great, for the public transportation, but when it gets to the spot where our family's impacted and we can't drive or get where we need to go, that's when it's vital. That's when it starts to become essential. So you guys keep doing what you're doing because you're keeping our whole community on track and getting us into a good space. So yeah.
care about you. We care about the community. We're like our family. We don't want you to go without medical help, without groceries. We want you to make sure you get to see your friends and get to the church when you need to. So yeah, please don't miss out because it's a need out there too. I must say, when we first started, it was back Rides to Wellness started in September of 2016, and there was 160 rides a month needed. Now it's 13,000 a month.
Oh, you gotta be
That's
kidding me. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we are in need of some drivers. People
I
are really
think there
using their
was a
services.
need there, but nobody
Yeah,
was offering a solution. They were just ignoring it,
right.
And
Ed
in
once
Michigan,
said
go ahead.
during our podcast, Ed said, I'm not going to say no. The answer is easy to say no. I'm going to say yes, and they'll make it happen. And he did that because when they said they needed somebody in 30 minutes, the driver's like, we can't do that. Yes, you can. We're going to make it happen. And he did. And then they said, what about if you have children? He's like, well, I guess we're going to need to have car seats in all the cars when needed. They're like, well, we can't do that to all the cars. He said, yeah, you can, and you will. So now if you have a child, they'll have a car seat, all official, and they'll make sure your kids are safe as well and can go with you.
Well, that sounds like a really strong management that's willing to take on some struggles and obstacles. And that's where we can have the opportunity to create innovation that really
Mhm.
provides solution because often it can become I'm not worried about it and sweeping it under the rug. But when we have
Right.
people that are in places of position and they have passion in their heart, there was a lot of peas, but
Yeah.
seriously, when you have those things, that's where you can start to produce change that can provide impact, that really can have a change on even like the length that somebody lives. Loneliness
True.
is a key contributor to caregivers and patients passing away. It's more dramatic
Oh,
than
I know
people
it's
realize
terrible.
because it impacts our overall wellness, mentally, physically, and
Absolutely.
spiritually. And having somebody that's willing to say, hey, we're not going to look for excuses, we're going to look for solutions. It's almost like an anomaly these
Yeah,
days to
it
hear
is. I
that,
know
to somebody that's
someone
willing
that
to
I
go
work
that
with
far.
someone I
Hmm.
work with said Ed doesn't. He's like a hockey player. Ed doesn't look to see what to like where the puck has been. He looks to see where it
Yeah,
should be going. He hits it that way.
I
So
love
he's
that.
looking
I want
ahead.
to meet
And then,
Ed. Ed
oh,
sounds
you'll love
cool.
him. He's the best boss you could ever ask for. He's just he cares about everybody. He treats the community like his own family, and he
That's
treats his employees the same
beautiful.
way.
That's the kind of
He
leadership that
appreciates.
we need right now, though. We
So
really
refreshing.
do.
I know.
In
It is
all
amazing.
categories. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when he heard that 4 million people miss their appointments for the doctor's appointments every year due to transportation, lack of transportation, that's
Yeah.
when he got on board. He thought we can't have
Yeah.
that. 40 to 70% of people that miss their appointments are because of transportation. They can't get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Also, here's something else you might not know. If you're ever in the hospital, which I hope you aren't, or know somebody's in the hospital and they call you to say, hey, I just got released. Can you give me a ride home?
Yeah.
Maybe you can't get to them right away if you're working, like you just said,
Yeah.
or you can't get there till 5 o'clock. They want to get home.
Yeah.
You can call MTA and they'll get you home.
That
They'll
actually happened to me a couple times. I didn't know about the MTA then. I didn't, but now I do. So no
They
excuses.
do.
Where sometimes a loved one's getting ready to be released, and I mean, in the ideal world, this is what we picture: is that I'm going to be there every minute, and then I'm going to take
Sure.
them home. But this becomes the thing when you're dealing with long-term health crisis or even end of life approaching health crisis. This isn't like a 1, 2, or a month or 3 month things. Sometimes it's 1, 2, or 3 years, or 4 or 5 or 6 years. Like I was talking about it with John Stewart. When it starts getting dragged out that long, you've got to find ways that, number one, that you can keep living and keep going, but you've got to kind of define these things of here's some pockets of where I can get this help so that I can do these things and keep going and staying functional. And it did happen to me a couple of times where I had to go back to work because at the time I was producing a lot of big events. I didn't choose my schedule. I mean, I could choose if I wanted to do that event or not, but I didn't choose my schedule. So I had to be there during the event times. And there were some times that people would, like my husband would be in the hospital and they would say, oh, he's being released. He can be released, like within the next sometime today, but not knowing
Right.
when, when, I don't know.
know.
Is it
Right.
6 hours or, 3 hours? And we juggled and we made it through, but it was incredibly stressful. And knowing that, you're not caught in a situation where you're at work, your loved one needs, is ready to go home. And I'll tell you what, when you've been in the hospital a while and they tell you you can go home, guess what? You want to go home now,
You want to go home now.
get that
Right.
hospital
That's the only
smell
way.
off of you, that
Right.
funk, that iodine funk or whatever that is. Like, get me out of here. I've been in here a
Absolutely. You
week.
want to get home. And we don't have a
Yeah.
lot of
Take a
Ubers around here. We
shower,
don't have Ubers
relax.
and taxis. It's not so easy as to call Uber like it would be like in Chicago or New York. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to call somebody to get home, but that's what if you're at the hospital, like you said, you can call MTA and they'll send rides to wellness for
Mm-hmm.
$15. They'll be there within 30 minutes. And
It's
a lot of times the
incredible.
hospital will pay for that. McLaren and I, they have a partnership with McLaren and MTA. So they'll pay for that. But you have to know about these things. The hospital can't tell everybody all the information that's
Mm-hmm.
out there. So knowing this and telling your loved ones and your neighbors will help you to get home quicker or to get your loved ones home quicker. So
Mm-hmm.
just keep that in
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Yeah, that's super important. So, with all that being said, one of the key things too is as a community for us to keep doing things to improve and support MTA and realize the value that it's bringing. So, if millages or other things come up, you understand what was it for. A lot of times we don't know. Like we want to have this millage for blah blah blah, and you don't always hear it. But with you
Right.
guys, we're hearing like multiple stories and multiple facets from seniors to kids to different people that have different sort of disabilities that they're working with. It gives
Absolutely.
them
And
freedom. It's
MTA hires a
beautiful.
lot of disabled. The MTA hires a lot of disabled, knowing their
Do they?
struggles. We have people in wheelchairs. Like I said, Ashley is totally blind, and we make accommodations to make that happen. So they're
Hmm.
very, very trying to employ anybody that needs a job.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that sounds like something I want in my community. So we'll
I
create.
know, and you have it. I
I know
know.
it's a
Thanks to the millage.
beautiful
The millage did
thing.
pass. Thank you for anybody who voted for the millage because it did pass, and that's good for 5 years now. And it was not an increase in taxes at all; it was just a renewal.
Great.
So we're not going to bug you for like 5 years. Well, 4.5 now,
Wow.
so it's not bad.
Yeah. Well, we'll take every minute that we can. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming out today.
Well,
We do
thank you.
appreciate you. And all of you that have tuned in, just take the time to take care of yourself and be proactive to
Please.
create a healthy, happy life for your family and your community. All right. Take care, you
Don't
guys.
put it
Thanks
off
for
if you find
watching.
something.
Yeah, don't hold back.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.